comments last week, Lofton said, "I think it's time for an Oakland A's relocation controversy ASMR." And with the news of the team officially moving to Sacramento next season, I think that is absolutely correct. And if you're here, it's time for my daily plug. If you're here, it probably means that you're a fan of sports and a fan of ASMR. So if you enjoy this video, please consider subscribing to the channel. I make sporty ASMR videos, and I'm trying to see how close to 25,000 subscribers we can get by my birthday at the end of May. 25,000 was the average attendance for a Cincinnati Reds game last year. Right now we're heading towards like a Pittsburgh Pirates game worth of subscribers in our community. So let's see if we can march towards Cincinnati in the next couple of months. But back to Oakland now. Thank you to Lofton for leaving that suggestion in the comments. Guys, this is going to be a very condensed version of the story because, oh my god, it has been a long time coming. We'll actually start the story back in the 70s because the 70s started out very well for the Athletics. It was the swingin' A's era. They won 3 straight World Series titles in 1972, 1973, and 1974. The story goes that the team played so well together because they all hated their owner, Charlie Finley, so much. So it united them. But as much as their hatred of the guy united the team on the field, a lot of them were looking for a way out of the team, away from Finley, and a lot of their star players left for other teams, either through trades or free agency following those championship years. At the same time, Finley had reduced his investments into the team pretty dramatically. He was unimpressed with the attendance at games during the first half of the decade when the A's were winning the World Series. So by 1975, he was thinking about moving the Athletics to a different city. He came up with this elaborate shuffle that would basically the Chicago White Sox would move to Seattle, and then the Athletics would move to Chicago to sort of replace the White Sox. But then all of that fell through when the White Sox were sold to a new owner, and that new owner was not interested in leaving Chicago. The following year, 1976, the new free agency rules came into play. They were a lot sort of looser for the players. They favored players a lot more than owners all of a sudden. So Finley tried selling off a bunch of players before they could leave for free. And the ones that he did not sell ended up leaving for free anyway. And that was pretty much the end of the swingin' A's dynasty. By the end of the 70s, the team was in a full-fledged rebuild, and attendance dropped so low at the Oakland Coliseum that the Coliseum became known as the Oakland Mausoleum. The lowest point, in fact, was on April 17th, 1979, when only, and this is sort of the high end that this figure is remembered as, only 653 fans showed up to the game. Other numbers, that was a weird sound. Other numbers have it like around 550, and some of the players that were on the Athletics at the time say it looked like 200 people max were in the crowd. So now obviously Finley is trying to get rid of the A's. They're not making him any money, and he's not willing to invest in the team either. So he wants to sell to a buyer who will move the team either to likely Denver or New Orleans. They were looking like the likeliest markets at the time. But in the end, Finley was unable to break the team's lease at the Coliseum, and the A's had to stay in Oakland. Eventually, Finley was forced to sell the Athletics. He sold the team in August of 1980 to Walter Haas Jr., who was the CEO of Levi's. And Haas was committed to keeping the team in Oakland. Now, here was an owner in Walter Haas who was willing to put money in the team again. And so they ended up going to 3 consecutive World Series from 1988 to 1990, winning the title in 1989, and that would be the last time the A's won the World Series to this day. Haas died in 1995, so the team was sold to Stephen Schott and Ken Hoffman, and they were not ready to spend as much on the club as Haas did. So the team started sliding down in the standings once again. Now, Schott and Hoffman, they didn't hang on to the A's for very long. In 2005, the club was sold to Lou Wolf and John Fisher. And I don't think I'm getting ahead of myself here when I say that Fisher is still, I think, a majority owner, like a controlling owner to this day. But at that point, 2005, it was clear to everyone that they needed a new ballpark. The Coliseum was super outdated. So at first there was a plan to build in Fremont what would have been known as the Cisco Field. But that plan failed. It was abandoned in 2009 because there was just too much resistance from the public who were concerned about traffic and noise and pollution in their town if the team was to move to Fremont. So then Wolf and Fisher started looking at a relocation again. And they were looking to relocate to San Jose. We're in 2012 now. By the time they're really sort of putting effort into this, and it's starting to look like a reality. And for many reasons that have been present for 20 to 30 years now at that point, lack of interest, no stadium, pushbacks, what have you, it's time to go. It's time to leave Oakland. So there's a proposal to build Cisco Field in San Jose. But the Giants, they have, I'm sure they still have it, territorial rights to San Jose, right? The MLB sort of protects certain regions from getting too dense with teams so that it can still be sort of worth it for a team to have a market. Like San Jose fell in the Giants market. So they blocked that proposal to move the A's to San Jose. San Jose actually wanted the A's, and they brought the issue to the Supreme Court. But the Supreme Court just rejected the whole thing. Around that time, we're in the early 2010s, the Oakland Raiders of the NFL, they announced that they were relocating to Las Vegas. This storm raising outside. I don't know if you can hear that. It's actually great timing for the story because the Oakland Raiders, the football team, announced that they were moving to Las Vegas. And with the Golden State Warriors now being in San Francisco, this made the Athletics the only major professional team left in Oakland. So they decided, okay, let's focus only on Oakland again for a new stadium, sort of dropping the idea of relocating and focusing once again on Oakland, building up in Oakland. So they looked at options. They looked at rebuilding the Coliseum where it stood. They also looked at Laney College and the Jack London Square neighborhood of Oakland, but it was impossible to make any progress year over year. Mind you, we're in the pandemic now, so that did not help to move things along. Created a lot of economic uncertainty. Negotiations, with city councils were delayed. And with that, the MLB told the A's, you know what? You should probably be looking to move to another city. Deep breath. Las Vegas was an obvious option for the A's, their AAA affiliate. The Aviators were in Las Vegas. There were two relatively new franchises in the city. The Raiders, who, as we said, had come from Oakland not a decade earlier, and the Golden Knights, who were both having early success, certainly in terms of attendance and public support, but also the Golden Knights were having a lot of success on the ice and very recently won the Stanley Cup. So, this is recently to now, not recently to then. So in November 2021, the A's surveyed fans of the Las Vegas Aviators to determine potential interest in an MLB team in Las Vegas and a new ballpark. The results of the survey came back and showed that most Aviators fans and Las Vegas residents in general were interested in having an MLB team in the city. Legislators were also willing to work with the team. This was like a dream situation for the A's. They went from just hopeless planning and negotiating in Oakland to Las Vegas welcoming them with open arms. Public opinion has maybe shifted a little since then, but I think that's understandable with a very long and expensive process ahead. But let's not jump too far ahead. In April of 2023, it was announced that negotiations between the city of Oakland and the Athletics, the organization, had officially ended, and the team was moving forward with a new $1.5 billion stadium across from the T-Mobile Arena. If you followed this story closely in the last year, you know that it was moved from essentially I think if you look at the intersection and you've got the T-Mobile Arena, for you it would be here, northeast. I think initially it was supposed to be in the northwest corner of the intersection, and now it's in the southeast corner. I think, if I'm picturing it correctly, that's right. And that's due to a bunch of stuff surrounding taxes and unions and all of that, which I want to put you to sleep, but not that badly, so we'll skip over all of that. Point is, they're building a $1.5 billion arena across the street from the T-Mobile. worth mentioning here that this whole thing isn't happening without casualties. The A's did have a fan base in Oakland who were and still are upset to see the team go during their home game on April 28th of last year, of course, almost a year ago now, against the Reds. Fans decided to protest. They held up signs that said, "Sell, stay in Oakland, hashtag Fisher out." And controversially, the MLB, like their official broadcast of the game, did not show those signs. Like, they were deliberately kept out of the broadcast. There were also reverse boycotts where that was like in June, that was a little bit later on, where fans were encouraged to come out to the games and show that there was still a fan base and a market for an MLB team in Oakland. Now, let me know in the comments what you think of that whole approach, because I think there are definitely two ways or more to look at a reverse boycott. So I want to know in the comments what you think. Now, obviously, the schedule for the 2024 MLB season, the one that's just starting now, was already set by the time the A's relocation was announced. So the Athletics were to play one final season at the Coliseum, and I'm very curious to see how that turns out, if attendance increases or decreases as the season goes on. So far, they've averaged about 6,000 fans in attendance per game this season. By far, the lowest in the league. The second lowest is Miami, with almost like 15,000 average attendance. Also, back in November, a non-profit fan group, the Oakland 68s, they announced the establishment of the Oakland Ballers, which is a team that is set to play in the Pioneer League, which is like an independent MLB affiliated league. Their schedule begins in May, a couple weeks, but their first home game will be in June. And they use the same team colors as the A's, very similar logo as well. And they want to be known as the Oakland Bees, which, is that just a little bit funny to me? Like, going from A to B, maybe not the effect that you're going for, but anyway, back to Las Vegas. The A's initially had an agreement with the Aviators, their AAA affiliate, to play at their ballpark, the Las Vegas ballpark in Summerlin, until their stadium on the Strip was completed. But that field had natural grass, which they realized would not stand up to two teams playing on. They were also concerned that that stadium did not have a roof, like a retractable top, to protect the players from the sun and the heat in the desert. So in the end, very recently, last week, the Athletics reached an agreement with the San Francisco Giants and their AAA affiliate, the Sacramento Rivercats, to play in Sacramento on a temporary basis beginning in 2025. Now, many people have argued that Fisher's lack of spending on the team in the years leading up to this, it was kind of a deliberate attempt to basically sabotage the club to keep fans away from the Coliseum and kind of force a move. I think it's the old chicken and the egg debate. Like, did fans stop coming first, or did the team stop being inviting and exciting first? Charlie Finley would argue that fans were not showing up when the team was winning World Series. Fans might argue that even in the 70s, the 80s, the Coliseum was already inadequate to host these games. One thing's for sure, though, most people have a negative opinion of the A's owner, John Fisher. And now, we're heading into a bit of a limbo period for the team until at least 2028, when they're due to open in Las Vegas. So maybe let's check in like 4 years, see how things are going. Anyway, guys, that is the greatly abbreviated story of the Oakland Athletics, soon to be Las Vegas Athletics, and their relocation controversy, their relocation saga over the years. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I'll see you very soon in the next video.